Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Mylène and I'm a personal stylist. And today we're talking about the romantic family. That's theatrical romantics and just pure romantics. Today's video is the last video I'm going to do on my shopping guide series. It took probably 5 times longer than I thought it was going to, but it's worth it. I got them all out, we're done. And I can focus on other really great content that I want to show you guys, so I'm really excited about that. But don't forget, today you get a free guide for today's video that is downloadable. The link will be down below. And basically it's a guide on your body type and links to all the pieces I showed today, as well as a couple others. I also have the link to my Shop My page, and that'll be down below if you want to browse other pieces that I don't show today. There's a lot more that I couldn't fit into one video, so you can go to town in there. So let's dive in right into the romantics first, and starting with tops. So the name of the game for romantics is everything is soft, rounded, curved. And so we really want to honor that in a couple of areas, right? We want to honor it with our fabrics, so something very soft, very huggy, that can drape really easily, that really honors or matches, we could say, your flesh type, which is very soft, has mostly just yin. That's the main thing that we're noticing on you. So any kind of fabric like silks, plushy kind of sweaters, you want to look for some lace, even anything chiffons, anything that really moves and has zero structure to it. Perfect. And by structure, I just mean that it's not stiff. So if we were to hold it up, it would lose its shape. It would just fall, collapse. It does not mean that you don't have structure in the way that you're dressing your body type, and I'll explain that in a second. The second thing that we really want to focus on is the structure. Now, when I say structure, people think that things need to be structured like sharp or really tailored. And in this instance, what I mean is that it really follows the curves of your body. It's hugging it, it's caressing it. And for you, that looks really amazing. You don't need space between you and the garment. In fact, the more huggy, the better, because it's almost mimicking the way that your flesh reacts to your bones. It's really hugging and encompassing your bones to the point where we don't see bones as much, or it's not the main focus, the structure of the bones. What is the main focus is that softness, that plushiness. So there's structure in the sense that we are following curve and really honoring and hugging it, but it's not tailored, it's not stiff, and it's not, boxy in any way. It's really structured in the sense that it's hugging. Okay, got that out of the way. So for these two tops, they're kind of doing those two things I've described. Over here, we've got silk, which really honors that softness. It's one of the best type of materials that look good on soft and really plushy body types, because it itself just really conforms to the softness that your body's also doing, that your flesh is doing. So if you wanted a dressed up or a dress shirt, but feel oftentimes it can be a little too constraining, it has some sharp edges and lots of angularity to it, but you want to honor your softness, a silk button-up shirt is probably one of the best options for you, because it's really just following those things. It's hugging if you wanted a tighter version of it. It's also very, very soft and will just kind of follow wherever your curves go. That just looks stunning on you. And you don't have any sharp edges, and this garment doesn't have sharp edges. But if you wanted to still have a little bit of that structure and focus more on that more than your fabrics, then you go for something like this. This is a peplum shape button, but it's not a button-up shirt, but it's like a dress shirt type thing. This would be perfect for that. In the construction of the top, it's got all the curves, the rounded shapes, in maybe a little stiffer fabric, but because we're so focused on the structure and following the curve line, it's fine that it's not in a silk, for example. If it were in a silk, even better, but not everybody wants to wear silk all the time, especially if it doesn't go with your essences. If you had a bit more dramatic essence or classic essence and wanted something that didn't feel overly romantic, this would be it. It's still following the lines of your curves, your bust, the roundedness on your shoulders. It's really honoring the fleshiness, the structure of the fleshiness, if you want to call it that. over here. And in going with that kind of theme, we've got two pieces here again, one with a fabric that's a bit more soft and malleable and curve hugging, body hugging, let's call it that. And then one that has a bit more stiffness, but the shape of the garment is really what's saving it here. This is gonna really follow your lines. The ruching at the waist really helps to kind of give almost a corset-like element to it, which looks stunning on a waist that comes in, and that you really need your waist emphasis in this body type. So this kind of top is perfect for that. With this one over here, same thing applies. It's still kind of hugging and curve dominant over here, but it's soft. So what happens with really soft, tight pieces is it's going to naturally come in and follow the curve lines because it's not oversized. We don't need to try and find the curves. The material itself will find the waist emphasis for you. And with the ruching, the tightness, it's all in effort to do that, to follow your curves. I also really love the draping on this one. It really helps to kind of follow that lusciousness that you might have in your shoulders with the roundedness or in your bust area. For more of a long sleeve top that isn't a button up or isn't like a going out top necessarily, we've got these two options here. Now over here, if you had a lot of natural essence, for example, and you really love the idea of something that's unconstructed, that's very flowy, but you're a romantic body type and can get kind of lost in sort of more unconstructed or pieces that are lighter waist emphasis, this is a great option. It's in a peplum, so the waist emphasis is very much apparent. It's following the curve of your bust, but then it's got more relaxed sleeves. Now, if you don't have natural essence, this might look a little overwhelming and lose yourself in it. If you had high natural essence, this will work on a natural body type for sure. And it's very much more of a relaxed vibe, but still has that construction that I was talking about, or that structure that really just follows the lines. It's also in a very soft, stretchier fabric, which is perfect for your soft flesh. And then over here, we've got a line I love on romantics so much, and that is the off the shoulder. There's something so beautiful about like very rounded shoulders that are kind of mimicking the rounded line of an off shoulder. It seems like it should be an angular line, and in certain fabrics it can be, but when you've got the very stretchy, kind of huggy type of material and fabric on that softness there, it's so beautiful. It's like you're wrapping in a hug with the softness. It's so, so beautiful. So this is a very classic, when I say classic, I don't mean classic essence, but a very generic or standard's the word, standard romantic line for that. It's very stretchy. It's very kind of almost sensual. It comes across sensual, but it's just because we're really honoring and looking at the softness here. And of course, this is in a polka dot. You do not need to do polka dots if that's not in your essence or in your preference. For sweaters, I wanted to give you two options. So we're gonna start with just kind of crew neck, non-cardigan sweaters. One over here is for the ones that really want to be casual. They have high natural essence and they're pretty laid back and they just wanna like feel comfy and not feel like they're wearing glamorous outfits all the time just because they're romantics. It doesn't have to be like that. What I love about this is it's got drop shoulder, which really follows that rounded shape of your shoulders and that softness that sits on top of it. It comes in at the waist with tapering. Absolutely beautiful on anyone that has waist emphasis needed or really soft kind of rounded shapes in their body. And then yes, it is a kind of a high neck, I guess. Doesn't look bad on someone who has softness, not their best line, but because it's open, we kind of get a bit more of a rounded shape when we open that zip up. So you can kind of play around with that and it just brings in a little bit more softness there. Is it crucial? No. The second option here is just a standard sweater. But what I'm looking at is a couple things. It's fuzzy, which is very, very soft. This is just like a perfect mirroring of your soft flesh. It's got rounded neckline. It's got tapering at the zones that you may be coming in. It's very luscious and it's just going to look stunning on someone who has a lot of roundedness. I also think that you could get it in a size like smaller, I guess, that really starts to hug the body, which would look really good. This is kind of an oversized example, but for you, if you wanted something that really like is tighter fitting on the curves and the softness, definitely go for it. For cardigan options, I've got two here and I think they are so beautiful. Over here, again, for someone who doesn't want things like skin tight all the time and maybe wishes they were a natural body type, this would be perfect for that. I also think this has like kind of a almost not ethereal necessarily, although it does look more handmade. I think it's crochet. And it's got cute little buttons, so this could bring in a little bit of ingenue essence if you had it. But basically what I love about it is it's got kind of an open neckline. However, it's not overly slouchy to the point of you're losing your shape in here and you don't look so good with like overly unconstructed, shapeless things. So it's got a little bit of that, and then it really has a defined waist. It's got a thicker band at the waistline. Sorry, thicker as in long, like tall, like amount of the tightness is large, if that makes sense. It's not a small band, it's a larger band, and so it's really cinching in that whole area, and it's not giving too much of a loose and super flowy appeal, although there are elements of it with a slight like puffed sleeve. But again, very, very tapered in wrist will help to kind of bring that in what your body's naturally doing, which is kind of coming out and then coming in at these points, like your waist and your wrist and your elbows. Those kind of areas tend to naturally come in with the type of flesh that you have. And then this one over here is a lot more on a standard classic line, which is very tight, and it's got lace detailing, which looks really good. Again, that kind of more of a delicate, soft element to it. And because it's a thinner knit, it also is very huggy. It's going to follow those curves. I really love when there's buttons opened at the top here. Helps to kind of just honor a little bit of softness. It's not opening the way we do with width. It's just honoring softness everywhere, which I really think is stunning. It doesn't have too many elements of like tapering, but it's because it's tight all over, which looks incredible on you anyways. For jackets, I want to give just two options, one a longer one and one shorter one. And the reason for that is because I'm going to focus a lot of my jacket coats in my layering winter series. So that's coming. Don't want to overdo it with that. You'll have a lot more examples in there, and you have a lot of jackets and coats in my Shop My page that you can go through. So for the longer one, I wanted to bring in something a little bit more ethereal, a little bit more just fun, honestly, a little retro. I know fur is often described as a great, fabric material basically for romantics. So if that's not your vibe, don't do it. I personally love it, even though I'm not a romantic, but I think it can kind of come across sometimes as ethereal or classic in the way that you work it. I wanted to give something that feels, yes, kind of fur-like, but a little more laid back, cool, like 70s vibes. This is this jacket. It's got shearling, I think, or it's not quite as kept or clean looking fur areas. It's a little bit more unkept, a little more wild. So if you had a lot of essences, actually natural, ethereal, if you had gamine essence, if you had classic essence, but mixed with those other essences, this could look really cool. Or romantic essence mixed with something else. Beautiful. It's got a tie waist, so we're emphasizing the waist. It's also in a kind of suede material, very soft. But if you wanted a shorter version, because I know I talk about midi lengths a lot for romantics, if you wanted something shorter but didn't want cropped and didn't want to lose your shape, two things. You want soft leather or soft suede would be a really good option. Anything that kind of has a drop shoulder is really nice. A bigger, kind of wider collar that's rounded would be really beautiful. So this is a great option for that. And it's got a tie, even though it's a shorter cropped kind of jacket. So you're not losing your waist in that, and you're not gonna look like a bubble at the top. You're still gonna really honor the fact that you have that waist. For dresses, now, I'm just gonna say, you look incredible in a dress, so wear it as much as you can. So I want to give two options that kind of give two different vibes, if you wanna call it that. And over here is a lot sexier. So if you have romantic essence, and this body type, obviously, this is the way to go. It does have an asymmetrical line, which isn't a big deal, honestly. I think people focus too much on that. But what I like about it is that it's draping and it's hugging and it's really following the curve line all the way through. It's coming in at the knees where we want it to, etc., etc. It's stretchy. It's gonna look incredible on all that softness. Just, this was made for you. And then over here, same things apply, but it's in a cutesier, more innocent vibe, not as like sexy and more mature looking over here. If you have Ingenue Essence and this body type, which is a very common combo that people can sometimes feel like, am I just a gamine? Maybe not. Maybe you really are a romantic, but you have this Ingenue, very cutesy, coquette type of essence, then this would be perfect for it. It's got a puff sleeve, it's got a lot of gamine details, but it's a lot more curve huggy to really honor a lot of your softness. It's following every single curve, your bust, your hips. It's a midi length, it's coming in, it's I forget the name of it right now. It's got a lot of ruching, which looks very, very beautiful on a very soft body types, following those curve lines all the way through. Okay, for the next two, I want to give two completely different vibes because there are different types of romantics, meaning different types of people with this body type. Over here, this is great for someone who has classic essence, who wants to feel a little bit more covered up with a higher neck, longer sleeve, but there's a little bit of a slit, just a tiny bit of that sexiness, but it doesn't need to be overt. It's going to be a little sexy because it is quite tight fitting, but honestly, it just looks incredible on you the more it follows those curves. Sweater dresses look so good on any soft body type. You were made for it because sweaters really just do conform. They're very, very stretchy. They're very soft. They tend to be quite huggy. This is what you want. So this is a perfect option for someone who has classic and romantic essence that doesn't want to be overly sexy, but has a little bit of that element. Now, if you're like a couple of my clients I've had that are romantics that don't want skin tight all the time, and in fact, they feel very uncomfortable with it, usually because they don't have romantic essence, totally fine, very, very normal. What I would suggest is something like this. Now, this is for someone who has maybe natural and classic essence and wants to wear kind of those dress shirts, but doesn't want anything stiff, that really wants things that are open, that are a bit flowier. This woman is not a romantic, so it's hard to kind of imagine. I'd also go down one size, because if it can get too oversized, you'll drown in it. And we want to still honor the fact that you have those curves. So this is all rounded shapes. And the biggest thing is it has a tie waist. I want to make this clear, this is not going to look good on every single romantic who doesn't have the essence to carry it or that personality that just fits this. That's okay. That's very normal. No problem with it. What I like about it is this is a silk fabric. So again, we're working with the fabric, we're working with rounded shapes. It's not as tight fitting though. So we have the waist emphasis, the tie to bring it all together. For skirts, we've got two options for you. Basically, the two greatest pieces or shapes that look good on a romantic is something that has a bit of flow, but a waist emphasis. So this one is in at the waist and has some beautiful flow going on. This one's at the knee length. You can go a little longer to a midi. This is a really beautiful length on a romantic, and it's got that beautiful flow. So you just can't go wrong with that. But if you wanted to just really honor your softness, going with something a little tighter and then all the way down where everything kind of tapers in, it follows those curve lines, absolutely beautiful. You were made for this, so go for it, really. For pants, I've got two options. Basically one that's a little bit more relaxed, and if you wanted to be a bit more on the natural side of things and didn't want skin tight all the time, these two options really are the way to go, because you can wear skinny jeans. I'll talk about that in the Theatrical Romantics, which you can also do. Over here is a cropped version of a pant. If you didn't want to do long, if you're a bit on the shorter side of a romantic, a cropped would be really, really nice. There's quite a range in romantics. I know that sounds a little weird, but it kind of goes from moderate to small, to quite small. So if you wanted to go more in line with your bones that are short, go for something cropped. So here it's got stretchy material, it's really hugging those curves, that's what we want to see. And it's got a kind of a cropped, not overly cropped, but just a little bit cropped would be perfect for you. And it's high-waisted, which looks beautiful on anyone that has waist emphasis needed or curves. And then over here, if you wanted something a little bit more romantic, sensual, this is in a silk, which is beautiful, and it's got that kind of ruching or that pleating that really helps to bring room for those curves. Obviously, this model is not overly curvy, but I know that this looks really good with someone who has lots of that curve line in their hips. And then it is a little longer, so if you want to wear a heel or something a little bit more dressed up, I think this would be a really great option. Now on to Theatrical Romantics. For long sleeve tops, now I just want to quickly note that for Theatrical Romantics, it's very similar to Romantics, yes, but they have these little undercurrents of yang, so a little bit of angularity. It can pop up in certain areas like their shoulders a little bit. It's not as sloped, it's not as rounded. It can kind of come in their tiny little angular features in their face. It could be they have slightly longer limbs. It can be something that gives us just a little bit of angularity. It's so slight. They're not just everything rounded, everything just, they're still curvy, but they're not overly rounded or overly plushy. It's like a teeny bit on the scale of angularity. And they tend to be quite delicate boned. Romantics can be too, I want to point that out, but they tend to be quite delicate, or can be. And so we're gonna take things in a little bit more. They're not as moderate as a romantic can be. So we're taking those in a teeny tiny bit more, and then we're bringing in a little bit more cropped things. However, if you are balanced and still petite, you can do midi length things. So how do we achieve that kind of slight mix is things that are quite on that romantic scale, which is soft, it's curve hugging, it's definitely a lot more structured to the body lines as we talked about, but so it's not unconstructed, it's not loosey-goosey, but it has either, you know, fabrics that are soft as well, or it has just like an element, a sharp line here and there that helps bring in a little bit of angularity. It's not overt, it's not intense. It could be an asymmetrical line. It could be like here, collars. So these two have sharp collars. This one over here has got lines on the garment to kind of bring it that tiny little bit of element of yang. Even though it's very curve huggy, she's got it tight on her body. There's a collar here, and then there's those lines. So it kind of brings in those two worlds a little bit, nothing over the top. Over here is a silk, similar to what I showed in the romantic one. However, there's just like slight, it just feels a little sharper, a little bit, just a tiny bit more structure to the fabric. Is it extreme? No, it's very, very subtle, and that's what we want to look for. It has tiny little puffed sleeves, and it's a little bit more tight fitting. It gives the illusion that it's a bit more structured. It's such a fun game to play when you're doing a theatrical romantic, because it's such subtleties, but it does make a big difference. So on that note, we can bring in some angularity and some random kind of sharp lines that don't feel sharp, but they look good on someone who has just a little bit of undercurrent of angularity. So a wrap something, perfect. It's kind of got an asymmetrical line because of where the button goes. That's what we want. It's got a little bit of like a sharp detailing here, but the material is soft. We're honoring your waist. Everything else is still really in favor of that softness. If you had natural essence, this would look really great because it almost is a natural line. It's not as defined of a waist, but it's still got elements of that softness, still really honoring the fact that you do and are curvy and are more soft with teeny tiny bits of angularity. And then on this side over here, I love this because it's similar to this one. It's got kind of like a sharper line here. I know there's a word for this. It just cap sleeve kind of on the shoulder line. So it's giving that kind of sharp line there and the tighter or straight line at the top here. But then it really comes in at the waist. It's all ruched and basically is giving you an amazing waistline, which you have. But this line up here is more on the angularity. If you had angularity in your shoulders, then this is honoring those two things beautifully. In a stretchy jersey kind of material, perfection. So another really clever way to bring in the yin and yang elements, but mostly yin and a little bit of yang, is just like a sharp detail on a fabric that is very, very soft and a lot more yin. So something like silk and lace, for example. The two things are, well, you know, they're following the structure of your body, the plushiness, definitely following your curve lines, but then it's got maybe defining lines. So this one over here, it's got these lines that kind of define these areas a little bit more, and then the V neck line is where that angularity comes in. It's super subtle, but it just looks incredible on someone who has just a little bit of angularity there. And then same can be done over here. Basically, it's soft, it's got waist emphasis. This one's a little bit more on the relaxed vibe. So if you had a tiny bit more, maybe natural essence mixed in with romantic, this would be perfect for that. It's got a tie waist thing, but it's not as tight. But because it's a lace and we're seeing the flesh underneath, it helps to kind of balance. And then a very sharp kind of V-neck line. Sweaters. So this sweater over here, very similar to that top I was showing you, where this kind of sharp line here, not that sharp because a knit is soft and it's not super like high neck, very, very intense line, but it's got a boat neck like line, which does look really good. It's like a little bit of angularity, teeny tiny bit, it's not extreme. And then it's got the taperings at the smallest parts, your waist, perfectly done with balancing those two things. And then in a thinner, soft knit, looks incredible on delicate bones. And then if you wanted to do a turtleneck, you can do bigger ones, but I wanted to show you something a little bit different, especially if you had any dramatic essence or if you had like really romantic essence and wanted to kind of mirror those two things. You can get a thin ribbed sweater that's very tight, so it shows every little thing, which we want. We want to see that beautiful softness. And then a very, very tight neck, mock neck almost, not super high, so it'd be more like this kind of idea on you. Looks so, so good. And you're just basically bringing that super stretchy, huggy element to it with like a slight line in the turtleneck. And then for cardigan examples, I love, I can't remember what they were called, but they were basically like those 50s, I'm losing all my words today, but those 50s cardigans. They were very, very tight and they were basically just buttons all the way, kind of not cropped a little bit, but they were fitted essentially. And those look really good with someone with lots of softness and has waist emphasis, because it does kind of taper in at the waist, tapers in here, but it's not puffy. It's tight all the way through, which does look incredible with someone with softness. I thought this is a great option for someone who doesn't want to wear what I just described, but has the same elements, because you can button the two buttons in the middle, which kind of creates that shape, that kind of peplum-y shape. And it's a little longer, which I know I said you need to do cropped if you have shorter bones, but if you were to balance this out with something short, like a shorter skirt underneath or pants that weren't all the way down, then you kind of balance out those lines. And again, sometimes you have a longer shorter torso and longer legs with this body type, depending on if you're balanced enough or not. You can play around with those. I talked about this in my Theatrical Romantics video, so I think this would be just beautiful. And it's got a little bit of a collar, a little bit of a sharpness there, tiny, tiny bit of angularity. The other option, which I try not to bring too much into because it's an obvious one, but a wrap sweater will always look good. You could wear this too if you're romantic. But a Theatrical Romantic, because it naturally brings in a V-neck shape, it brings in just that little bit of angularity that you need. For dresses, they were made to hug curves, made to hug the body. And this one is perfection. If you did not want to go long midi all the time, just midi all the time, wanted something short, but still honoring your lines, this is perfect. It's got the stretch for the softness, and it's plushy for the softness, it's hugging for the softness, but then it's got a turtleneck for that angularity. Perfect. And with that element of wrap, I wanted to bring in a wrap dress knit. Wrap dress knit, wrap. Wrap dress knit, wrap dress. Did I say it? I got it. In this kind of line, you in this line will just be the best pairing I've ever seen. It's just so beautiful. It's got that tightness, it's got that, the hugging, and then it's got the V-neck shape for the angularity. That's it. It's even most of the time when it's a wrap dress, it'll kind of do that sort of tulip shape after the waist, so it kind of comes in like this. That looks so beautiful when someone has lots of fleshiness on their hips. Chef's kiss all the way. If you wanted to bring any other kind of element to that has angularity, and especially if you have classic essence or a little bit of dramatic, I think this would be so cool. This is in a velvet, another great material fabric for anyone that has lots of softness, but it's got a very square top part to the dress, which I just think is so cool. It's got thin straps, which look really good on romantics in general. And then it's got this almost like 60s vibe of a poof, and then in at the smallest part, which is your knees. I love this. It's just perfection on every level and such a classic, timeless dress. Honestly, you'll always stun in this type of dress as a Theatrical Romantic. Depending on how large of a bust you have, sometimes too much of like angularity in this area can be too much. So play around with that depending on your personal lines. If you had more romantic essence and you wanted to just honor that soft, sensual side of it with a little bit of flow, this is it. It's got ruching, it's got tightness, it's got a tiny bit of like that flow at the bottom, but not overly. It's got a good size strap on it. It's got a sweetheart neckline. 10 out of 10. The angularity here that you would need to find is not necessary too much. Like, it's not a huge deal if you don't have like a teeny tiny bit of angularity, especially if you have this body type and do have high romantic essence. You can get away with it. It's fine. Skirts, now I've got two options again for you, and very, very similar, honestly, to the romantics. But I want to point out a couple things. So over here, similar to the skirt, the skirt that I showed for the romantics, it's got waist emphasis and then it does kind of come out. It's almost going to do that kind of tulipy shape, or sorry, not tulip, but it'll come in and then kind of out a little bit with just a teeny tiny bit of flow without overwhelming you. You could go a little flowier if you wanted to, but the fact that it isn't overly flowy, I think is perfect for a tiny bit of that angularity. What I love about this one is it does have that tulip shape where it kind of comes in, and then we've got a slit in there to bring in a little bit of angularity. Now this actually does look good on a natural body type, but if you add natural and romantic essence, this is a great way to bring the two worlds together because it's got angularity and it's got softness in there in one beautiful piece. Jackets, again, two options for you, one long and one short, just to even it out so that you have options here. Over here, this is in a goat suede leather, I'm not sure, but it's soft, that's what we want. It has a little bit more definition in the shoulder, so just a tiny bit of angularity, and the collar brings in just a little bit of angularity, nothing crazy. Over here, for a shorter version, it's a bomber jacket, which honestly does look really good. It's got drop shoulder, so if you have a little less angularity there, that's beautiful. It's got a little bit of a collar, so it's got that angularity there, and then it comes in, tapers in at the waist, and not overly cropped, but just a little cropped for your cropped, petite, delicate body. And lastly, to round it out, we've got our bottoms. As I said, skinny jeans that are stretchy, that follow those curves. Moi, yes. Yes. You can do a little bit of a flare if you wanted to. I wouldn't do anything too straight or wide leg in a jean. It's too stiff and tends to just kind of overwhelm you. Unless, and the key to a flare is that it comes and it is tight up until that small part, which is your knees, and then flares out so that we are following those lines. If you wanted to do something a little bit more relaxed, I do think that kind of paper bag idea looks incredible. And that's this, where it comes in at the waist, high-waisted, then it billows out a little bit where all the softness is, and then comes in at the ankles, which is just stunning on you. And that is it for the romantics. That is it for this style shopping guide for all the body types. So excited to move into winter stuff, so stay tuned for that. If you have any questions or comments, please drop them down below. I'd love to know if this is your body type and what your beauty blend is. That's your colors, your essences, and your body type. Love to hear all the different combinations. Don't forget that you do get your free guide. All of that is linked down below. If you're having any troubles figuring out your body type, your colors, or your essences, I've got courses, I've got personal assistance available, packages for you. All of that is going to be down below as well. I hope you all have a beautiful, romantic